What's up guys, welcome to a new video, new car, something a little bit different this time. It's not LS powered, it is a Commodore though. Big old VC. It's been here for a while, we've been meaning to do this for a long time. It's just one of those jobs that's eluded us as far as timing and things like that go. As you can see, it's for our boy Joe Byron. Nah, it's meant to be a Biden. A Biden? Yeah, a Biden. As in like law abiding.
Forbidden.
Forbidden, sorry. Or forbidden. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I guess it's open to interpretation. Ask Joe Byron about it. It's got a nice little 308 in it that we built for him quite a while ago. So we built him this nice little 308. It's actually originally the 308 that came out of Raucous, the blue one-tonner, when Rex was 17 or whatever. It's a nice little 308, yellow Terra heads, paired with a Turbo 400. So it's here for like a full exhaust build, wire it up, finish it off, get it running. Air cleaner and all that sort of thing. Wire the thing up, get the fuel line sorted and get the thing running in the car. We did already run the engine in. We ran the cam in before we sold him the engine. We did that in just a one-tonner chassis. This was quite a while ago. So need to do trans cooler lines and all that sort of thing as well. So basically just generally finish the car off. Rex has already been hard at this exhaust. This is the exhaust he's been making. It's ended up being one of the most symmetrical exhausts we've ever built to date here. It's really quite nice. Quite a nice exhaust. So the last thing to do is just weld it out. And we are just going to leave the mufflers tacked on until we get the car running and see how we like how it sounds. Because they're not the normal mufflers we'd normally use, but they were the only mufflers our supplier had at the time, so it's what we bought. So before we commit to them, we'll get it started, get it running, see how they sound. But the exhaust was awesome. Rex just got to finish welding this part out. Very nice and symmetrical. It's just going to dump at the diff. This should be a really nice little combo. It was a really good little 308 when it was in the blue tonner in Raucous. It got pulled out when the tonner got cheved the first time. The rest is history as far as the tonner goes. But we get this 308. It was always a really nice little engine. You know, big valves, yellow airheads, all the rest of it. It's got a nice little cam in it. Should be good. Should be a nice little tough chrome bumper streeter. It's a nice car. It's tidy inside. I'll show you that later. But yeah, we'll keep you updated through this journey. All right, big VC's coming along. Rex has been making progress on this thing. Transcooler's all mounted up. Fans all mounted to the shroud on the radiator. As you can see, fuel lines and stuff coming along. A lot of things happening. So he's making transcooler lines at the moment. Keen to see how this thing actually goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to set the world on fire. It's just
a nice little 308.
Cam 308. But like I was talking to Bo about it the other day, I reckon it's really cool. This is like the old, you know, it's a little hot rod 308 in a VC. Like it's just
era correct.
Old, yeah, old school, era correct. I really like it.
Do you know what converter ended up in it?
No, I'd have to ask Stewie. But
yep.
It was some like 2500, 2800 or something like that.
Yep.
What was the silly part was like he got the diff built. I think it's got like 411s or something.
Oh really?
Yeah, they're short as heck.
Oh.
I was like, dude, are you serious? And he was like, I don't really plan to highway drive it. Like he lives on the Gold Coast, so he's just gonna like street drive it around. I was
classic
like,
drifter things.
Yeah,
what diff should we put in it? 411s.
All right, Stewie, but I mean it'll be snappy.
Yeah.
It'll be snappy as hell, but.
Oh, looking forward to getting this thing on the dyno anyway. Or getting it running and hearing it and everything else. But looking good. Righto guys, back here tonight. Late one again. Big old VC. This, to be completely frank with you guys, this whole job has turned into just so much more work than we had originally anticipated this car to be. But we're just sort of slowly cracking along with it. You know, it's for one of our good mates, and that's why Rex has pretty much just been working at it late at night. Through nights and ticking along with it. So we've been waiting on a fair bit that's been ordered, but anyway, cracking along. Just went to grab a torch and realised I don't have one. Hang on. Here's a bit of light for you. So anyway, we've got our nice big thermo fan there. It's a big is it a Maradyne, Rex?
Yeah.
Yeah, big Maradyne fan on a shroud for that radiator. That's going to do fine for this little 308 combo. As you can see, Rex has made all of our ignition leads, plug leads, everything else from the Dizzy. So, you know, it's all cracking along, coming along here. Rex from Rare Spares has managed to get all the overflows, reservoirs, all that sort of thing to get this thing completed. As you can see up there, all new stuff, which is nice. And currently Rex is working, I think, at just wiring up all the things. This is
correct.
Our Build Ninja backlit display gear indicator for the shifter. And yeah, it looks awesome when it's all together. It ended up, because it's not a ratchet shifter, it's a gated style shifter. We're big fans of those, as you would have seen in our V80. It's a TCI Magnum grip.
B&M.
Oh, it's a B&M, sorry. It's the same. It's a copy of a TCI, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. So
I've got a TCI in the blue one.
In
the blue, yeah.
Yeah. So instead of being a ratchet, it's gated. So you still can't miss gears. You can't go past gears. But if you need to go from park all the way to first, you can just slam it all the way to first. Whereas with a ratchet, you can't skip gears. But if you want to go from park to first, you got to go back to drive and then ratchet it back into first, and it can be a bit, it's just a pain. We like the gated style ones better. But what that means is that you need a bigger range of motion for the shifter. Because with a ratchet, you only need to go back to drive, and then it ratchets from there. It's forward and back like a sequential, whereas a gated one, you have to have the full range of motion for all gears from park all the way back to first. But what that meant was that Rex had a few clearancing issues as far as just having the shifter all the way forward in park against the dash. And there was a lot more clearancing and work getting the shifter mounted in such a way that it worked and didn't clash with anything than we originally anticipated. And then because of the drop box and how it had to be angled to mount that way and clear everything, the angle that the shifter cable then had to be at made it quite a bit of a pain to get the shifter cable through somewhere nice in the firewall or the trans tunnel where it wasn't going to be too tight a radius and get caught up, and just all these little things that just take a lot of effort, a lot of planning, and a lot of work. But it is a great result, though, at the end of the day, with that Build Ninja backlit display. It looks really factory. It looks really nice. So it's worth it at the end of the day. It's very fulfilling when you get to see an otherwise, a pretty well stocked looking interior with one of them shifters. But we have been waiting on a big heap of wiring, which is now here. Been waiting for a few cars for that wiring, but with that, Rex can actually start getting the engine loom and everything else built for this thing as well. So he's just working on all of the light wiring for the Build Ninja thing, just a Deutsch DDM plug. Makes things super easy and neat and simple. Very easy to remove when you need to, etc.
That was the key thing, was because the wires are quite short, and with the shifter being high, you've got to angle it in and stuff and the decoder digital unit, it's just the screw-in terminal type.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's a
quick
plug.
way. Yeah.
Like imagine unscrewing every one of them, then you got to put them back where they go and stuff. So I plan on making a pretty long pigtail from the decoder unit so that you can take the whole unit out and then just unplug it.
Yep.
And then when you put it back in, you plug it in, and then we'll coil them up underneath, just to try and make things easy.
Yep. Happy days.
Big dog.
Yes. Always try and think ahead and make things easy to work on, easy to service, convenient and neat, etc. But I'm really excited to hear this thing. I'm excited for when we finally get to crank it over. All right, boys and girls, so she's really coming together. Rex was here last night until about 1 a.m. and the timing light's out, so I assume he must have got this thing running. There's a little bit of oil water on the ground though, so don't know if it might have had any issues or not, but I guess we'll just have to wait for Rex to get here this morning, and we'll find out what he got up to. But yeah, he was talking about the fact that he wanted it running last night, which is a really good, nice big step in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to when he gets back and finding out. Rex did get this thing running. It has been running. There's been quite a few dramas along the way for not things that we did, basically trying to sort out other stuff, but Rex did actually get it running eventually. We are not happy with these mufflers. These mufflers don't sound very good because of the chambers in them. They do just sound like hollow and tinny and not very nice from behind. So glad we didn't commit to that. They'll get cut off and we'll get some new ones, some different ones. That's a shame, but it is what it is. But anyway, it does run. Rex had to sort out quite a few fuel issues with it. There's a few dramas there. But ultimately, yeah, runs. So this engine, I think I explained earlier, that this is an engine that we built, that we supplied and sold to him, and we had already run in the cam. So the cam had already been run in. We ran it in before we sold it to him because we weren't at that point sure that we were going to be the ones to end up sort of getting it sorted and finished. But here we are doing it. But yeah, that's that. So a few things to sort out still, and I'll show you. I won't show it to you yet. I'll show it to you after Rex is finished. But same thing, Rex did all the engine loom and sort of just left it open until we were sure that everything works, and I'm sure Rex will now go back through and cover everything and button up all the engine loom, and then we'll show you that. a bit of like an echoey, tinny echo. It just doesn't sound that good. So yeah, we'll get some different mufflers for the big girl. Alright guys, we've got our new mufflers on this exhaust and this thing is sounding much nicer. That sounds much better. Taking a lot of that tinniness out. That sounds like a proper old school 308. Yeah, the iron line. Happy days. Alright boys and girls, the big bad VC's finally back on the dyno and hopefully, fingers crossed, ready and sorted to go. Rex has sorted out the throttle cam situation. It's a lot crisper off the bottom now. Rex reckons it feels, sounds, drives, seems to do everything a lot better. We've got a new spreadboard, square bore carb spacer that is in fact split. I didn't film it, but we did order another one that was meant to be split. They sent us an open spacer and it's been a pain, but we finally got one that is split and ready to go. So after much messing around and big pain in the bum, the VC's finally back on the dyno, and this should be the last time it has to go on the dyno. We can finally see what our little mighty yellow terror-headed oversized valve 308 is going to do. But yeah, looking forward to this thing. Looking forward to seeing the back of it. It's been here for way too long. I do enjoy. This car has been here for a very long time now, much longer than it was ever meant to be. Alrighty guys, so we've run it up. So the idea with the divided spacer was basically mostly to test the theory. Rex had thought that it may have been the cause of the flat spots that we were having, but it still had the flat spots when the divided spacer went on, and Rex fixed that with throttle cams, which he's never had to do before. But we just run it up with the divided spacer, and this has been the result. As you can see, bottomed out and then leaning out at the top, which is, we've had the past sort of 3 or 4 cars we've had with dual plane divided manifolds, we've had a similar result, and we're trying to sort of basically come down to what's causing this sort of thing. So I'll let Rex explain what's going on.
Yeah, well, it's fucked. So, no, well, I had a theory. I wouldn't call myself a carby guru or anything like that, but we've seen this Max, we've seen this pattern with every divided one we've had issues with fueling, and it's always to do like with a curve, and this is what I was trying to explain to our last customer we had this issue with, where they're like, oh, you can fix it with jetting, but you can see like it's bottomed out at 0.68 lambda, which is as low as our dyno reads, which is 10 to 1. All right, so that's rich as hell, and right at the end it's starting to come back up. The problem is if you start pulling jet out, it moves, it doesn't change the shape of this curve, it pulls the whole curve up. So if we were to try and jet this to get anywhere near like close to acceptable, now we're going to be way lean up top. Whereas you can see the red line was the last session was with the open spacer, curves nice and flat, or about as flat as you'll ever get with a carby, and that's not bad. So I don't know why it's happened in recent years. I don't know if it's the new carby technology. The base plates are slightly different to the old Hollies, because this exact motor with that manifold, end spacer, and the old Holly 650 that's on the table over there was in my Blue Ute for years, and it never had these problems. Just ever since the last couple of years, every carby we've seen with a divided manifold, they hate it and they want an open spacer. So for this, I was thinking that being a 650 on a 308, it's a decent sized carby. I was thinking that the divided spacer and the extra signal to the boosters would be okay. But this is the same jetting and it's just gone absolutely pig rich. I already had to pull a lot of jet out of this carby to get that up to here. So that was, we're running 0.82, 0.84 lambda, which is a little on the rich side. Generally, we'd want something up around that 0.88 for this NA car, but that's acceptable. I don't think that's costing us too much power. I'll probably leave it at that. But this is just ridiculous, and I can't go pulling that much jet out. It's just not going to be happy. So I'm just going to go back to the open spacer, get it happy, and that's it. But if there are any carb gurus or experts watching that do know why this happens with divided plenums in recent years, I am all ears. I'm always happy to listen.
So basically our theory that we've talked about is that being divided and having all that extra runner length with your dual plane manifold increases the signal to the boosters in the carb. Whereas if you give it a open spacer and you give it that
common plenum between the two, the separated dual plane, it slows those signals down and basically slows everything down a bit, which is what we are theorizing is going on here.
Because for anyone who doesn't know, that's how the idea of the Venturi and the carb works, is that the air going at speed through the Venturi pulls on the booster, and the booster draws fuel through the main jets and a couple of other circuits and stuff. So that's pretty much what you're seeing here. For the same jetting, the open spacer with less signal to the booster is not pulling as much fuel. But when we go to the divided spacer, the extra signal is actually hurting us because it is just pulling. This is obviously peak VE here. That's where the airspeed is pretty much going to be the highest, and you've got the strongest signal to the booster, and it's pulling too much fuel through for that size jet.
We should also add, I don't know if Rex said it at the start, but these two are exactly the same jetting.
I think I've said it a couple of times.
Yeah, we haven't touched the jetting. It's just the spacer that's changed. So.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so I'm just going to go back to the open spacer.
So that's our theory. The past 3 or 4 cars we've had with dual plane manifolds where we've had the same problem have all been fixed by either putting a open spacer or milling out the divider in the flange for the carby and giving it that bit of a common plenum area. Has fixed it on all of them. So
the last one was a Corvette that had a Proform, what I think was a 750 on a 454. And it was exhibiting this behavior, but even worse. It was like the curve was just ridiculous. And as Max said, I tried an open spacer on it, fixed the problem, brought the curve up nice and flat. My theory then was that being a 750 on a 454, it is fairly undercarbed, and the divided spacer was too much signal to the boosters, which was causing the problem. I did think that on this thing being a 650 on a 308 that it wouldn't be such an issue because the 650's on it's a pretty reasonable size carb for a mild 308, but it's doing the exact same thing. So I did notice before too at light throttle, even though, because our wideband is in the driver's side before the X pipe, so we're only seeing
one bank.
And even though it was showing like 13.2 to 1 before, it was doing some little popping and it sounded like it had a misfire, like it was lean. I haven't heard it since. I gave it a good stab and maybe cleaned. Maybe it was just a plug that wasn't happy or whatever.
You should have fuel on something.
But yeah, it's just a little weird. That's the other thing I should say too, is that with the divided spacer, we've seen not only really rich and weird fuel curves, but differences bank to bank has been the concerning thing. So yeah,
we should probably also add that we have never been a fan of dual plane manifolds. So
yeah,
they've never been our thing. It's just that these are cars that have come here with dual planes that we're trying to tune, and we keep coming across the same problem, and we're just trying to do some testing and report some results on what we're finding. But yeah, we are finding that just having that little bit of common plenum area seems to be fixing this problem.
I find it interesting too if you look at pictures of like most of your new dual planes that you'll see from VPW, Rocket or whatever, Edelbrock, all those companies, a lot of them have a milled down center divider. So
yeah, maybe it is a advancement in carby technology that is making carbies more efficient that is causing, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one too, because like carbies are generally rated as like 650, 750, 850 CFM, but it's sort of more complicated than that, because like if you look at an 850 compared to a 750, what it comes down to is sort of Venturi size versus throttle blade size.
Yeah,
and there's
so your cross-sectional area.
Yeah, there's heaps of stuff like what they used to call the 850, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. It's like a 750 Venturis with like 950 throttle blades, or maybe the other way around. Like it's a bit of a mismatch. Like,
so basically using your cross-sectional area to adjust the air speeds
that's
and Venturi speeds.
But obviously the easy way to rate them is just, this is an 850 CFM, this is a 950 CFM. So like I was saying to Bo, this is a quick fuel 650 Brawler, which and the carby that I used to have on this car was an old 650 Holly. Yeah. So you'd think that they're the same, but that's not necessarily the case at all. You'd have to measure all of the different things. So yeah, like I said, I'm sort of I know how to tune carbs, but I'm certainly not like a guru or an expert, but I'm just basing all this off what we've seen, and what the dyno's showing us, what the, how the car's behaving, like. So
Anyway, the main thing is the flat spots and everything have been fixed by the throttle cam, and we've proven that the divided spacer is still doing this. So,
and you'll notice
now that the flat spots,
virtually no difference in power. They're almost like forget the start there because it's an auto box, so I can't just I've got to roll it in. But if you look, like there's hardly any difference at all.
Yeah.
So
yeah, with the flat spots fixed with the throttle cam, we're just going to go back to the open spacer.
Yeah.
And that's going to be that. So we'll go back to the open spacer, get it right with the jetting. Happy days. So,
happy days.
Yeehaw, let's do it. Jetting changes?
Oh, jetting, air bleeds, heaps of stuff going on.
Alright, boys and girls, the results are in. A whopping 266 horsepower at the wheels. So obviously by modern standards that's not very much, but for a mighty old 308 it's not a bad result, especially considering this thing's got like 4.4 diff gearing. So yeah, awesome stuff. Good result out of the old girl. Nice to finally have it sorted out and ready to go home and be enjoyed. Nice Sunday cruise car. Sounds the part. Those new mufflers have it sounding much better than it was before, and looks the part. Makes the right noises. It's a nice Sunday drive car. So, yeehaw. Thanks for watching as always, guys. Smash like, smash subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out. See you. Alright, guys. We are back on the dyno. Back on the dyno. So, since we sort of finished this off, although we were pretty happy with just the power tune on the dyno with the way it was set up, Rex couldn't get the freaking cold start. Couldn't get it to start. Couldn't get it to come off idle nice. It was just boggy, fluffy. Cold start was just cooked. Because it's electric choke and there's no way to stop how much the choke basically chokes it. It was just completely choking it and flooding the shit out of it. So for the past like 5 days, Rex had just been slowly trying to drill out the choke blade to a point where it was just going to work, but it wasn't right. There's just something about the setup was not right. It wasn't the way it should be. It wasn't crisp. So Rex finally had the shits that bad this morning that dragged the old Holly 650 double pumper out that was on this manifold, on this engine when it was in Rex's blue ute eons ago, which it never had a problem when it was like that. Obviously, it was a different cam, but otherwise pretty much all the same. And yeah, never had a problem with this manifold and this carby setup on the other ute. And as soon as we put the divided spacer back on and Rex put the 650 double pumper on, it was just starts perfect, real clean off the bottom, real crisp. Doesn't have that big bog when the secondary's open like that thing did. It just, everything about it just revs out so much cleaner. So, not sure what it is. Again, as we iterated already in this video, we're definitely not carb experts. Rex knows enough about them and we tuned them enough and everything else, but certainly not experts. Certainly don't understand why this brand new billet carb is being so problematic with this setup, but for whatever reason, it just seems so much happier with this Holly on it. So we decided to chuck it back on the dyno to keep doing a bit more investigating, see how it runs up with the Holly on it, and yeah, basically just see what's going to be better and just get this thing right, because we're over it. We're over how long it's taking to get this thing to do everything it needs to do properly. So let's see. All right. So as much as it was happier on unloaded and on off idle and stuff with this carb, as soon as it was loaded up, there was problems. It wasn't actually as happy as it made out it was going to be. So doing some more testing, going back to the brawler, and basically we're just just doing a final dig, trying to get this thing better. And but you know, at some point we're going to have to call it. We can't keep spending time on this thing, so we'll spend this afternoon trying to get it right. And yeah, it's going to be that pretty much. So Rex has tried between this carby and that carby and the open spacer and the divided spacer, all of the general jetting rules that you would pair from Holly, or what Holly would recommend to pair as far as jets for all combinations. And it's just not like right. So we're doing what we have done in the past with carbies and just going off the freaking scales and off the radar of what their jetting rules are, and pretty much Rex is going to try and get this right by the way of his experience and understanding, and then try and jet it to a point where it's happy doing everything. But yeah, it's just can't understand why we're having so much trouble with this combo.